We are just going to have a friendly conversation, find out what Chad's thinking, maybe what he knows, because golly, after yesterday, like I said in the opening segment, you've got a conference commissioner that's bouncing pretty much all over the place, and you've got a president at the University of Iowa that's talking about missing spring practice and need to get in some practice. So we'll get there on June 1. By the way, to be fair to Bruce Harrell, the president of Iowa, he said all that, and then he came back and said, "But we're going to follow Big Ten and state of Iowa and United States guidelines." So it's not June 1st or bust. It's hopefully June 1st for the Iowa Hawkeyes to get in some work. I do believe he was sincere when he said we miss spring practice. We need to practice to win games. I think everybody knows you have to practice to win games. All right, joining us now, the deputy athletic director at Oklahoma State University, and you know what? He may want to write a book. In fact, there's a lot of athletic administrators and coaches and people that may want to write a book after the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm volunteering because I've written a couple. I'll be glad to help them with their book if they want to write one. Chad, how are you?
Good morning, Robert. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We played your statement yesterday. I got it on my email, being a Cowboy season ticket holder, as well as being a member of the media. In fact, I'm close friends, obviously, with Larry, and Larry had kind of kept me up to date on some of the things they were proposing to people, depending on how this plays out. And one is, if there aren't a full football season, or if there isn't a football season at all, which I don't think we're going to have to worry about that, but I'm not an expert. I'm going to yield to you and others on that. He said, would people give their season ticket purchase up as a donation? I told Larry, I absolutely will. In fact, if we don't have a football season, I promise I'll buy two more tickets and let it go. Uh, just because I know how important it is we try and keep our athletic department strong. We've worked a long way, and I know here I am pontificating. Oklahoma State and its fans have worked a long, hard time, and with a lot of help from people like Boone Pickens and the athletes and the coaches, to put our athletic department as one of the best in the country. And I don't ever want to see it slip. I want us to be proud of it. And now you're going to say, Robert, just keep talking.
Yeah, I know. I like the sound of everything that you're saying, and I couldn't agree with you more. And no, we're very fortunate to have the fans that we do, the support that we do, the donors that step up and make things possible for us, whether that's the $100 contributions all the way to Boone Pickens. But that is what makes everything work around here for sure. So we are just like everybody else. We are very hopeful that we're able to have a football season. I believe that things are tracking in that direction, but who knows? And I think that's the point. Is there are so many unknowns right now. Nobody can say for sure. We're just planning as if we will. It's the best that we can, but we're just going to have to kind of wait and see how things play out. And then, of course, so much of it will trickle down to us from the decision-making standpoint, from the federal government through the state government, through the local government, then to the campus administration, and then to us. But if that works out where we can, we're going to be ready. And as we're in the process of football season ticket renewal season, just like we would be normally, we did try to make some adjustments just to, one, give people time to consider everything that was going on. And so we did move the ticket deadline back to May 1st, which is today. And so we hope that we have a big day today. But obviously, a big part of that, with all the unknowns, was we knew that we needed to let people know that if for some reason we are not able to have a football season, or if there's some sort of season without fans or something like that, a shortened season or whatever, we would make adjustments, and whether that's refunding the entire season to them or a portion of the season to them if we're only able to play a portion of the season, that we would make good on that. And that's only, I think, the fair and the right thing to do. And but as you mentioned, we have had some great conversations with our fans and supporters that have already told us that should that point come, that they would gladly just make that ticket purchase and the associated posse contribution, just turn that all into a donation to the athletic department, which would obviously be very helpful as it is in any circumstance, but in this circumstance would be critical to keep us moving forward. And like you said, Robert, we've worked way too hard to take any steps back now. And so we're doing everything that we can to ensure that is the case. But we're not going to be able to do that alone. We're going to need all the loyal and true supporters out there to help us with that. But it does start with season ticket renewals. Today is a huge day. Like I say, it's a huge. The deadline day is always a huge day for us and for every other school out there. Doesn't matter who you are. That is when a big amount of the season ticket renewals take place is on the deadline day. So this is a big day for us, but I am very pleased with what we are seeing so far. I think we're tracking really, really well. And that's just an amazing testament to, again, our fans and how loyal and true they are. We we just can't say thank you enough to those who have renewed already, like yourself, and just hoping that we have a big day today.
Before I get to what was really my next question, just off of that, so this being the deadline for renewal, then if you want, I mean, obviously, I guess you could do it tomorrow, but I'm going to go next business day, which would be Monday. If I call Monday, then I can buy season tickets. Probably could buy season tickets anyway because there'll be some available. But anybody who wants to add to their number, because I know Coach Gundy talked about this, his own personal account. He said he was going to buy more tickets this year.
Hmm.
Said I'll give them
Right.
away, but I'm going to buy more, and he kind of challenged a lot of people, uh, you know, uh, to add to your season ticket totals, even if it's bringing somebody as a friend, getting them engaged. So Monday you can buy season tickets.
Absolutely, you can do that now. The only caveat I
Right.
will say
Okay.
to that gets down into the weeds a little bit, is depending on where you want to sit.
Right.
You know, if a seat was open last season, then we can go ahead and put new
Sure.
season ticket purchasers into those seats. Um, Otherwise, we will take a couple of weeks here to sift out who did not renew and work
Okay.
through
All
opening
right.
up
That's
those
fair.
seats for assignment. So really, just becomes a location issue, and we're happy to
Right.
work through that with anybody. But yeah, you can order new season tickets at any point,
Gotcha.
and we hope
All right.
that we have a whole bunch of people that want to do that.
Fair to say, and you've been an athletic administrator for a while now. You've been at three different Big 12 schools at Oklahoma State, of course, Kansas State, Texas Tech. Fair to say that you've never seen anything like this, and this is just absolutely the most off the wall time that you've ever had as an athletic administrator.
There's nothing even close, Robert. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
didn't
that.
think so.
I don't, and I would imagine that that would be pretty close to the case for any athletic administrator out there. And really, probably, I'm going to guess that it's most everybody in every business. You know, there's just no precedent for anything like this, and so we're all sort of in the same boat, trying to navigate through this the best that we can. But yeah, there. I've never been to at any of our national conventions. I've never been to a session that talks about managing through a pandemic. So,
No, I can understand that, and here's the thing. Judging by the responses, the wide and varied responses, and we know what happened with Coach Gundy's teleconference, but then you've got Bob Bowlesby, who I mean, I think he's been extremely guarded. In fact, somebody was asking me yesterday, where is Bob Bowlesby coming from? And I said, you know what? I think his bosses are the school presidents. They're
Hmm.
the board of directors for the Big 12, and I think he's just being careful not to. When we're a little kid, we learn how to color. In a
Hmm.
coloring book, and one of the things we're taught is color between the lines. I think
Hmm.
Bob Bowlesby's doing a good job of coloring between the lines, but I also think there's room for people who Bruce Harreld, you could say the Iowa president, although he kind of reined back on his statements a little bit toward the end, but talking about having the football team at Iowa practicing on June 1. I think we've got people who are coloring inside the lines, being careful. And I think we've got people who are being ultra positive and maybe coloring outside the lines.
Hmm.
And I don't know where you fall on this, but Chad, I'm a person who believes we need to have both because we don't know what's going to happen here. And we need to have the extreme positive and we need
Hmm.
to have the extreme cautious. And at some point, everything is going to come together and show us which side of the line we're going to be on eventually. Maybe we'll be right on that line, whatever it is. That's
Right.
that's kind of an explanation to lead into you kind of analyzing how you're bringing all the information in.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, Robert. I think part of what I think there is sometimes a misinterpretation of just people that are being hopeful or optimistic because we all want the same thing. We're all hoping that we're back in school in the fall and that we're playing football. I think everybody is just, ideally, we could get back to the way things were before. Now, who knows if that is going to be the case, and it probably is going to take us a while to get there if we do. But I think it is just a lot of times people stating what they hope will happen, and then that can be misinterpreted. I do think there is pressure too, particularly on our leaders, whether that's university presidents or commissioners or our elected officials or whatever, to make decisions. And I think that there is this pressure to, as a leader, to hear that you are trying to lead, right? But in some cases like this, sometimes I think the answer really is we don't know. And I know that's hard to say because a lot of times people don't want to hear that. They want to know that somebody knows. But I think in some cases, I think we're in one now, but there's just a lot that is unknown. And one of the first things that needs to happen is just that more information presents itself. And that can only happen with time. And again, then that goes back to everybody's anxious and everybody's wanting to move forward. And so that creates that pressure. But I think really what we're seeing is that every day that goes by, we do know a little bit more. The picture maybe becomes a little bit clearer, and that in the next weeks and months, we're going to know more than we do now, obviously, and that'll make all the decision making a little bit easier. And not that it's going to be easy. Like you said, um, there's a line in there somewhere, but and you're trying to hit it, but you may not. Right? You may make some mistakes along the way. But I know that our leaders, whether that's in the state government or here on our campus, are doing everything they can to try to make the right decisions.
Yeah, we just had the NFL draft, and I always think it's kind of interesting to hear post draft the general managers and the coaches and the scouts and the people in an organization. They'll talk about how they sat around in their meetings and said, okay, what if this happens in the draft? What are we going to do?
Hmm.
For instance, the Packers didn't think Jordan Love would be as fall as deep as he did. And when they lost the receivers that they were really interested in, they decided to draft another quarterback, which, Aaron Rodgers is
Hmm.
already there, And then Jerry Jones, they weren't going to draft CeeDee Lamb. They had other needs, but they had him as a number 6 talent, and he slipped all the way down to them. And well, we got to take him. I mean, so
Hmm.
you respond, yeah, but you go through all the scenarios. Is that kind of what you guys do? Because there's talk about a season on time. There's talk about a delay. There's talk about a 10-game season, a full season. There's talk about fans in the stands, maybe limited fans. I mean, do you guys sit down in your meetings and kind of let's like look at these scenarios so that if it's the scenario presented, we've at least discussed it and we kind of have an idea how we're going to move on it?
Yes, that's exactly right. Um, we're trying to work through all of those. I think exhaustively thought about all of the different options that you are aware of and that you hear may even become an option. We're, we're obviously, I think, trying to prioritize which of the options we think are most likely, so that we're spending the majority of our time on scenario planning for those options. But yes, I mean, I think there's at least some thought being given to every option that's been presented out there. And again, with every day that passes, that scale tips in one direction or another, right? As we get more information. So I hope that continues to be the case, starts to narrow the scenarios down that we may be presented with, because that's only going to help with our planning. But until then, we're going to continue to think about every possible situation out there.
One last thing with Chad Weiberg, Deputy Athletic Director at Oklahoma State. We've talked about today being the deadline for renewal of football season tickets. If you haven't done that yet, and again, there are payment plans you can pick from that, you won't have to pay on your tickets until August. Remember that. So today is the deadline, and the university is going to work with you. They understand these are trying times. All right, you're also the schedule maker. I've already thought about this. If there is football this season, is Oregon State really going to want to fly from Corvallis to Oklahoma? Will they be able to? I know for a fact because I was about to do the Oklahoma State Western Illinois softball games on ESPN Plus the day all this happened, and then doing my research on Western Illinois, had found out just how their athletic department's in a really tough spot financially. So I mean, how are they equipped to go, play football? And I know they'll want the check. It's a guarantee game, but where I'm getting around to is you may need to be adaptable even on this upcoming football season. But a pat on the back too. You've made Oklahoma State football going forward in many years much of a regional schedule with Arkansas and Tulsa coming on board. And gosh, we love those games with Oregon and other schools outside the intersectional games. But um, financially, those regional games are so important, and this is a great year for Oklahoma State because honestly, the Cowboys road games this year are all very drivable, which I would think helps. So take us through the
Hmm.
scheduling scenario, both immediate and the move to go regional, which looks like the future is what you want to do.
Well, I'll start with that one. I think that's exactly right. I think you're going to see, as a result of this, more and more schools looking regionally and trying to stay um, with their scheduling more regionally in football and every other sport. So, in that regard, I feel really good that we had already started down that path before any of this happened. So, I feel like we're in a good position there, and obviously, we'll continue to do that as much as possible. As it relates to this year, yeah, we just are fortunate that it fell that way for us this year. We have all of our non-conference games here at home, and then our conference games are all within a fairly easy distance from Stillwater, so we don't have to. We're not going to Ames. We're not going to Morgantown, West Virginia this year, so it worked out well for us in that regard. I did a few weeks ago reach out to Oregon State just to kind of get a pulse for what they were thinking at that point, just knowing that that, again, a few weeks ago things looked a lot different than they were now. Things were still in the shutdown mode versus the opening mode. But just wanted to kind of to see what they were thinking, and they were very much planning to be here in Stillwater to open the football
Good.
season with us. So I appreciated that. I'm glad to hear that. And I think it is a great opportunity for both Oregon State and Oklahoma State, Robert. I mean, I know we've talked about this, but if we are able to have football season, and there is a great opportunity for Oklahoma State to help kick that all off, because with that game starting on that Thursday night, that will be one of the first major college football games anywhere in the country. I think it will be a great showcase for us, a great national celebration of hopefully, being able to return to some sort of normalcy and getting past this global crisis. So that's where I certainly hope that we are at that point. We will see, but I think it's a great opportunity if it can happen.
Yeah, outstanding. And Chad, I appreciate you coming on. And again, I just echo this for all Oklahoma State fans who really care, and I think that's everybody. That's all. Every Oklahoma State fan, in my opinion, cares. We've got, you know, between a new baseball stadium, a softball team that is just dynamite, a soccer team that's set to start next fall. That Colin's got that team ready to compete for national honors. The basketball, in your message, the recruiting classes for basketball, the returning players on the women's side in basketball, Chuba Hubbard, Tylen Wallace. I'm looking at an ESPN story here this morning, rating the top safeties coming back in college football. Number 3, Kobe Harvell Peel from Oklahoma State. Man, we got so much to celebrate. We've come so far, and we're in such a good position. I encourage Oklahoma State fans, do everything you can to help us keep our position and even advance, because you know this athletic department's better than it's ever been, and I know I enjoy covering it and enjoy being around it, and I think Oklahoma State people across the board enjoy what's going on. And thanks for your contributions and everybody else's, Chad.
Well, thank you, Robert. Appreciate that very much. I agree with you. We've got great student athletes, fantastic coaches, and obviously couldn't have better fans. So appreciate all of that. And yeah, looking forward, just like everybody else is, to a lot of fun this fall and winter and into next spring. And just hoping we can go off as scheduled.
All right, Chad, appreciate it. Thanks for being on with us.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
All right, Chad Weiberg, and again,